Here, amongst the Cape's oldest vineyards in Constantia, Grand Chef Tempelhoff's restaurant is part of the Cellars Hohenort, owned by hotelier Liz McGrath. His award is one she's waited 20 years for.
This is such a prized location. And speaking of prizes, within a month you won 2 culinary awards.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been a phenomenal year. We won the Grand Chef Award, and there's only 160 in the world. And then after that, we won Restaurant of the Year a month later. So I told the guys eventually we'd get it, and we got it this year. So we wait to see what happens next year.
The title Grand Chef, that's a very prestigious and long process to become one.
Yeah, absolutely. It took us just over 2 years to do it. We were inspected by 3 or 4 Michelin inspectors. They came out and they checked how good the food was and that we were constantly at a high level. So yeah, it was great, and it's nice to be one of 3 who's ever been in South Africa. We must be doing something good.
Well, today let's pretend that I'm one of those inspectors and let's put you to the test.
Best way to start is with fresh ingredients, and we've got an amazing vegetable garden here.
So this is where you source a lot of your fantastic fresh ingredients from?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a really lucky chef to be able to use Liz McGrath's award-winning gardens to bring a lot of our ingredients onto the plate. And that's actually our ethos, is to bring as much of nature into the cooking, and especially our South African products here. We've actually got some white strawberries over there and some coriander, which we're going to use in the dish.
Fab.
You don't get muddy. I'll do the dirty work.
I'll watch over here. I'll observe. There's one over there, Pete.
Peter says his foods become more organic as he focuses on textures and natural flavors. When it comes to fish, he selects from the green list.
Chef, hands are washed. What can I do to help?
Why don't you chop some of that coriander we picked in the garden earlier, and I'll start on the yellowtail, because we're doing a yellowtail tataki today with a nice oyster and a freeze-dried dressing.
It sounds all very complicated. Where does the inspiration for this dish come from?
The inspiration is a bit Japanese, from all the extensive traveling I've done to the Far East, and a bit South African as well, using yellowtail and using nice oysters, local stuff like that. Ooh. That's our liquid caviar. Okay, it's just a bit of soy sauce, some water, some fish sauce, and some agar-agar, which is a seaweed-based gelatin. So the idea is to syringe it and then to inject it into some cold oil. So when it hits the oil, it forms little balls, and it sinks to the bottom, and you've got caviar on the bottom.
Sounds like a science experiment.
You want to give it a go?
Absolutely.
There we go. Your first batch of caviar.
This is fun. This is definitely something very different. I never used to be that good at science in school, but if I were doing caviar, I would have been a lot better. This is amazing.
After all the caviar is dropped to the bottom of the bowl, you can stop now, Joe.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm absolutely enjoying this.
We got more than enough that we need. So we're going to strain off the oil and wash off the caviar.
Okay.
There's the caviar. The next step is the tempura. And the trick is to use soda water.
Oh. So you pour that into the mixture, and that gives it more of a crispy batter taste?
Absolutely, yeah. Make sure it's really cold as well, because as soon as the cold batter hits the hot oil, it shards out and it goes really jagged, and it gives it a really good crunch. Wow.
Yeah. Mushrooms, the batter, and this goes into the tempura machine.
Yeah, little enoki mushrooms, really long stemmed. They look great when they drop them into a bit of batter, deep fry them.
So it actually looks like a beautiful piece of coral.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? We plan it like that, actually, seeing it as a seafood dish. Yeah.
Ah.
And now for the plating.
Okay.
So why not maybe place it like that?
This is the thing with chefs. You guys always do the placing so carefully and so cleverly, like you haven't thought about it, but you have.
Yeah, we have, actually. But it's got to look like you haven't thought about it.
Okay.
That's the trick.
Okay.
All right, so maybe just place that one up against that one a little bit. We've got our oyster.
Ooh.
Really fresh, nice oyster just chucked. Put a dot of the caviar on top of the oyster. There we go, that's brilliant.
Perfectly drizzled.
Absolutely perfect. Okay, now is our tempura enoki mushrooms, which we're going to try and stand up a little bit so it looks like coral. So lastly, we're going to put on just a touch of seaweed. We got some crispy seaweed. You could put maybe one on there and one on there. Finish with a drizzle of olive oil. And then it's really important just to put just a touch of sea salt onto the fish. So to complete the dish, we're just going to add the powdered dressing. So we take liquid nitrogen. Yeah, I know.
This sounds a little bit dangerous, or?
It is a little bit dangerous. You've got to be really careful with it. You should have a license to handle it, and we do.
I'll stand back.
Ooh. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is add some liquid nitrogen into the pot. And then we're going to get our soba noodle dressing, and we're going to squirt it into the nitrogen to freeze it. And because it's at a minus 197, it freezes really fast. So you don't want to try sticking your finger in there to make sure you've got enough. So we use a spoon.
It looks like magic, Harry Potter.
It does kind of, yeah. It's all about a bit of smoke and mirrors, you know.
Showbiz.
Yeah, well, we try and give the guests some surprises throughout the meal, and this is one of them. See how it's frozen already? Freezes really fast. Then we're going to start powdering it. All right. So take a rolling pin and just beat it.
Ooh, that looks like fun.
This is fun. You want to go?
Yeah.
Yeah, go on. There we go. Great job. Okay, thank you.
Ta-da.
Awesome. That's pretty good. So now we're going to take a spoon, and we're just going to take the powder dressing and very carefully just sprinkle it around. And what it does, if you serve it to the guests right now, we actually do this at the table. We sprinkle it in front of them. The guests can eat it now, and it's got a really nice crunchy texture. But if you leave it for a little bit, it melts onto the plate and it forms the dressing.
With Peter overseeing 5 restaurants, it's great news that his yellowtail is line caught and entirely sustainable. They can even trace it to the boat that caught it.
It's such an unusual sensation to have the dressing melting in your mouth. Such a wonderful combination of flavors. I love it.
Yeah, it's fun, isn't it? It's actually a great sensation, and that's what it's all about with our food, you know, keeping things really interesting, cutting edge, so the guests keep coming back for more.
Well, I'll definitely be back for more.
Cheers, thanks.
To win your own greenhouse tasting menu experience for 2, log on to the Top Billing website for details.